Namaskar and welcome to Daily Global Insights, episode 262. Please like this program and make it go viral. Today is Wednesday, October the 19th, and let us jump straight into India news. In India news, the People's Liberation Army, PLA, has deployed over 100 long range PCL 181 light truck mounted howitzers on the frontier with India in Tibet, a South China Morning Post report says. Sridharji, namaskar, and it's nice to see you in Puja, just out of Puja, sir. And how are things going with you?
I'm doing excellent, sir. So I am in my attire, and my apologies if it looks very different and very odd, but I am in a very holy city, and I've come here for prayers. Good morning to everybody in the United States, and good evening to everybody in India. So I'm excited to be presenting from a very remote location in India.
And let's talk a little bit about the howitzers being mounted on the Tibetan side, Sridharji. Well, China has been doing this for a while now. I think since April 2020. So it's now a year and a half. India has not been keeping quiet either. It has built its infrastructure. It has got roads that can make its army get to remote spots in good amount of time. Now, what is going to happen next, in your opinion, sir?
Well, I think that first of all, the specific howitzers which they have mounted has capacity, which is far more deeper in terms of penetration relative to the M77 howitzers which India has deployed. What China is upping the ante. Effectively, it is stating that is ready, to fight every which of the way, and so it is raising the center. What is going to happen? I think that is just a rhetoric that is going to go on, but their approach is going to be slightly different, which is namely they would use the surrogate terrorist regimes and terrorist organizations right around operating, and you can see some of them in Kashmir, you can see some of them in and around Assam, and you can see some of them even along the Nepal border. So you may see their surrogates very similar to what Iran is doing for Israel. That's the game plan while they keep their armed positions fairly ready and trying to pinch slowly space here and there if India falters. I think that's what is going to happen. I don't see immediately a full frontal war, but you may see skirmishes and taking up of the territory.
Well, Sridharji, Xi Jinping has not left the country for 6 or 7 months now. So that should tell us that there is a perceived threat that he sees that he could get deposed should he leave the country. I mean, this is what dictatorships always experience. So we have to wait and see. This could be just rhetoric trying to whip up the 90% of the population, which is not very wealthy in China. So we'll wait and see. An increase in Chinese patrol activity along the LAC, reports Indian Eastern Sector Commander. Intelligence alerts indicate that there is high level of activity by ISI and Al Qaeda. A high alert has been issued. Pakistan claims it blocks entry of Indian submarine from entering its territorial waters. Sridharji, do you think that India would have tried to enter Pakistani territorial waters? That's like what, 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers along the coastline?
Correct. I think that it is just an absolute nonsense. I think Pakistan is trying to, somehow make a statement that it is, has an upper edge, and making all these types of statements, helps it to increase the rhetoric. I think that's what Pakistan is trying to do. But to get back to the other 2 points, now if you carefully look at what China is trying to do after this howitzers, you saw, I think, that you have a series of activities around Assam, which they have detected, which is the ISI. Then the other thing is that you need to see is right along the LAC, not just confined to the Arunachal Pradesh, but they are also in the Galwan region and other stretches. You can see China exerting its pressure. They also have, apparently, it's not a deal. I mean, it's just basically trying to engage Bhutan. So if you carefully look at what they're trying to do, is they're trying to effectively chop off almost everything that is in the northeastern part of India. So that is the strategic play that is going on. And this and their allies, to combat and do these kinds of gamesmanships is Pakistan. So Pakistan now, thanks to a very incompetent regime that is prevalent in the United States, with the usurping of power by Taliban by illegitimate means, there is also the kind of sudden belief in Pakistan. It can begin to, up the ante. So the submarine incident is only one thing, but I'm sure that there has been a lot of input that we have received that the whole incidences, the cross-border incidences in Jammu, is another reflection of subtle play that is going on between China, between Pakistan, and the surrogate regimes or surrogate units that support Pakistan, like Al Qaeda, Jaish-e-Ahmad, and even probably some remnant aspects of ISIS-K and Taliban.
India's army chief visits forward areas along the line of control in Jammu and takes stock of the counter-insurgency operations along the border. Indian services exports may reach over 240 billion in the period 2021 and 22. More stimulus is needed, asserts Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, and virtual quadrilateral meet India, Israel, US, and UAE to establish a joint economic forum. India on course to deliver 1 billion COVID vaccines. Sridharji, all around, a lot of things that India has accomplished, though there is a pandemic in place. And my question to you, sir, is that Finance Minister has made a statement that there is more help support coming. What about middle class? What about MSME? Do you have any ideas on where that support is going to be focused on?
Well, I think the first and foremost, I think that the most augmentative support is coming to the lower strata of the society, which has been impacted and ravaged by COVID. Also, I think the industry, which requires much more favorable, what you call as a fiscal policy as well as a monetary policy. The fiscal policy here is basically there was an assumption that whether government has the ability to lift if they need to fund austerity programs. So she's saying very clearly it will do what it requires in terms of making sure. This is her statement also with Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, very much mimicking the US policy, not the present policy, but the prior policy, where the stimulus was lifted and directed towards the specific segments of the economy. Now, your question is MSME. Now, I have not heard that anything which is very tangible by way of policy, but there has been a lot of noise that the MSME is a sector which they are focusing on. One of the other good things about the MSME is I also have heard that Mr. Nitin Gadkari, who is spearheading the infrastructure, may also get the mandate for the MSME. So all this points out that the government is very keen. I think the deficit is somewhere between 4.5 to 6.8% of the GDP against their less than 4% or less than 3% target. They believe that they can achieve the goal once the economy begins to lift. So the government says that money is needed now, and it will do what it requires in making sure that the economy gets the hand that it needs.
France looks to India and Japan and expand the ties to counter AUKUS strategy. Taiwan to join Czech Republic, Lithuania trade delegates in the EU tour. We had mentioned about Taiwan having an office in Lithuania, so this now picks up momentum. UK and India discuss the UN reforms, counterterrorism, and climate action. Bolsonaro should face homicide charges for COVID-19 errors, says Brazilian Senate, and Taliban officials to meet many nations in Russia, security meet including that of India. Sridharji, first off, this Bolsonaro thing, I think that's nonsense. That means every head of state is guilty as heck on that one. And I just wanted to ask you, sir, Taiwan is increasing its outreach. Do you think some of the bigger powers like the G7 nations might recognize officially Taiwan now?
Well, I think Taiwan is formally recognized, but they are drawing a very clever line, which is they don't want to be the first country, one of those first countries, to basically give a recognition which will then stimulate another kind of, either a trade war or some kind of economic backlash, while implicitly supporting Taiwan in maintaining and preserving its independence and autonomy. They may have given little more concessions had China not regressed and basically put a rogue regime and policy in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong takeover and integration has been nothing short of absolute shoddiness, where anything and everything to do with democratic norms and even the 11 or 12 democratic senators, legislative members, they have lost all the right. This is the reason why the world is actually supportive of Taiwan, but at the same time, they are not crossing the red line of officially declaring Taiwan as an independent nation. So that's what you're seeing. You're seeing representative office of what they call Chinese Taipei or Taiwan representative office, etc., rather than calling it as Taiwan High Commission or Taiwan Embassy.
And let's take a quick look at United States news. State Department watchdog to launch an internal investigation into the Afghan withdrawal. It's about time. Democrats scale back $600 IRS disclosure after pushback. Sridharji, what is this $600 pushback? Can you throw some light on it?
So I think as far as France is concerned, as I think I was mentioning, that France has taken a very assertive position in conjunction with EU, especially the way United States and Australia, did a deal with United Kingdom in the process, circumnavigating already an existing deal that France has with Australia. So this attempt that they are trying to do with India and Japan to enter to be a key player in Indo-Pacific is very significant, and EU is supporting them. They have also taken a very strong position as far as the Taiwanese position is concerned. I think we reported that again in DJI. So watch out, watch out for space on with as far as France is concerned. Do not be surprised if we also see a France, India, and Israel angle emerging very soon.
If it happens, you heard it first at PGurus.
Exactly. You may see that thing happening in that part of this trilaterals. There's no more quadrilaterals. It's trilaterals. One other thing, which is namely, I just don't see what US's role in this trade agreement, that economic agreement that UAE, India, and Israel are striking. There again, it's just, US feels probably left out. Otherwise, those three countries are fairly well advanced in terms of the pursuits. Okay, to get back to your key point that you raised, which is namely, what is the $600? The $600 is that every transaction that is greater than $600 in your bank statements, individual or business, will be flagged and reported to IRS. There's a furor, which is to say that they are trying to monitor, and it's a surveillance regime that is being put in place, and the government is ceded to the backlash, and they may pull out of that effort. So that's the outcome of that. Now, with regard to the other question that you raised, which is namely, it is fascinating that we are one of the first few people to alert, but then it's now at least probably a couple of media outlets that has covered that this is Mr. Tony Gonzalez, the House representative from Texas, was briefed that the Colombian Panama government has held back or detained 52 terrorists making their way into the United States. Lo and behold, we have no idea how many terrorists have already entered this nation. Not very great news, sir.
Let's take a quick look at what the next item is. Majority of progressive priorities will be in the Biden's scaled back budget bill, says Pramila Jayapal. For those of you who don't know, Pramila Jayapal is the head of the Progressives Committee and the whip is Ilhan Omar. 17 states asked Biden and Garland to stop intimidating parents in schools who oppose CRT or the critical race theory. 52 terrorists heading towards US have been blocked by Panama, says Tony Gonzalez, House representative from Texas. The Democrats have been very quiet about this. Let's take a look at market news. In market news, market futures are flat after the 8th day of gains on Tuesday, with the Dow climbing 200 points. We are close to 35,500 on the Dow. As we have predicted before, the digital currencies are all moving up, and so is the stock market. We have to wait and see where it is going to stop at the end of the year. And with that, we come to the end of today's program. Absolutely. And viewers, again, apologies for having some technical difficulties. We are done with today's episode. We'll be back again, most likely on Sunday at 11 o'clock IST. Tomorrow, we are unable to bring you the daily global insights. Please pardon us. Please do like, share, and join our membership program. Sridharji, I hope you do well, sir, and namaskar. And hopefully we'll be back again connecting on Sunday.
Indeed. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you all on Sunday for